comparing yourself to other performers, and it's really hard to keep your head above water when you're surrounded by trainees getting spots on shows and you're like really close, but you just get a match against the person who botches all the spots, and you're really frustrated because you wanted the title match but you couldn't because Doug Williams was in town and he got the booking instead, and you love Doug but damn it, he took your spot. Thanks Doug, by the way. Anyway, I don't know what moment that was, but that's definitely a little triggered me. Oh dear, triggered myself. Anyway,
Oh yeah, it says starting recording my end.
Yeah, same.
Sam is recording the call. Right, okay, I'll do my 3, 2, 1. Season 4, episode 2, all right? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. You are in the virtual Barber Shop with me, as always, the keyboard warrior, Carl Atlas, joined by the mighty Mad Dog. That's it. That's his one line that he gets for a podcast. And we've got a very special guest with us today. We've got the Queen of the Ring, Priscilla, also known as Ollie Burns, also known as the ipso facto starter and promoter, I guess, of the Theory of Wrestling channel, which we're going to dive into very soon. But lovely to have you in here with us, Priscilla.
Hello, nice to see you boys again. I'm like the beards are looking much more trimmed compared to last time, which is not a lot of effort because last time we saw each other was height of lockdown and you guys look dreadful. But now you both look almost better. Pretty decent.
We're getting there. We're getting there, which is actually, I suppose, a nice way to segue into. We normally start the podcast off. We're talking about the Fat to Fit journey. We're going to speed through it because we don't want to take up too much of your time talking about it. But a very quick update because, as we mentioned last week, we've got shows on the horizon and they could not be any closer. This Saturday, in fact, at the Groundling Theatre, the Kapow and SWF Alliance take over Portsmouth with 2 shows, a matinee and an evening show with reduced capacity, and they are both almost sold out. One of them is very close to being sold out, so I'm very excited about that. And this past Sunday we go training. I don't know if you're aware of this, Priscilla, but we have got a little training group that goes down to the Quality Wrestling Academy. We hire it out. There's a small focus group with a few of us, just kind of literally just doing a little bit of prep. We're just getting back into it, moving around, kind of trying to get our ring rust off and get back to sort of some sort of ring fitness level. But I think because of the football and other things, it didn't happen. So this week I said, well, I missed my bump around and I've been having some problems with my back. And I thought, well, I need to keep moving. I need to try and stay as mobile as possible. So I subjected myself to Rishi's Wrestle Fit session on Tuesday, not knowing what I was getting into. I messaged the guy. I said, Rishi, I missed my bump around on Sunday. I need to get in there. He said, I can slip you in on Tuesday, champ. So I went down to the Wrestle Fit, and my God, like I thought I was fitter than I was, and I almost certainly am. Having been going to the gym 4 or 5 times a week fairly religiously, plus doing these sessions and all the rest of it, and dieting and all of that jazz. But I died doing the drills. Sweat was pouring off me. It was frantic energy for an hour. It was non-stop. Like we do a 2-hour session, but we can peel off when we've had enough, but this was drills, rolls, bumps, moving, constant. Like if you're out of the queue, you're in the other ring doing squats or push-ups or something. You're just constantly moving for an hour. I felt dreadful during it and amazing after it. I thought honestly I was going to have to give up, but I didn't, which I think is good because honestly it was the closest thing to replicating a whole match that I've done since lockdown. So yeah, I felt like it was a good litmus test, and I feel slightly more confident about Saturday now, but my God, it was brutal.
Well, I feel like you maybe it's difficult, isn't it? Because it's been so long. I I had my first match back last week up in Bradford, and I wrestled Dean Allmark, and I was absolutely terrified because, as we all know, Dean is one of the best, most athletic wrestlers on the circuit, and he spent his lockdown learning how to kick bottle caps off of bottles, whereas I spent mine eating pizza, doing YouTube videos. So yeah, I was a little bit out of it, but then I've been trying really hard recently to get into the gym myself because middle age is finally getting me, which is bizarre because I'm obviously only 21. But yeah, I've been kind of going to the gym a lot. I've been doing a lot of running. I did a 10K run the other day. I say run because I ran about 7 of them, and the other 3K I spent hobbling, crying, asking for a ride while people passed me from the street. But you know, it wasn't too bad when we got out there. Though the thing that was different was the adrenaline. Like, it's not even like we've been able to watch the adrenaline on TV because we've been seeing that bloody Thunderdome the entire time. We're actually there, and I'm there for the first time in like a year because, you know, I don't subject myself to AEW or any of the nonsense. So I haven't seen like live audiences in forever. So I'm like just sat back, and then suddenly I'm in the ring surrounded by actual people. And honestly, Dean battered me, but I didn't feel any of it. I was there for it. But you know, best of luck with it though, because you've got 2 shows in the same day, haven't you?
Yes, yeah, we've got a tag team match, and then each of us have got our own respective singles match. So Mad Dog, in the final run up to these shows, how have you been feeling? What have you been up to?
Well, I've been in the gym this week. I am sweating now. I've literally just run in from the gym now to catch you guys. I was like, fuck, it's 8 o'clock. I've got to go. So I literally have just come in from the gym. As we've always said, I'm lucky my gym is literally downstairs in my garage. So I've just been working out for the last hour or so. Nothing's, like, for me, as we always say, nothing's really changed. I have upped the ante a little bit. I'm working out every day. But I've taken the weights down a little bit this week. I'm just trying to get a bit pumped, get ready for the show. I want to look good. So it's just mostly just kind of, you know, just hypertrophy work this week, just getting pumped up. So, but I want to throw like some love Jay's way, Justin's way, because I saw on Facebook today, Justin, one of the Heartbreakers, he's doing like a 9-week transformation, and he is looking phenomenal. Like, he's been working, like a bit like Ollie just said about Dean. Justin spent his time in the off season doing strongman, getting stronger, doing all that sort of stuff. And I wanted to throw to Justin some love, you know, like, he is doing really well and he looks fantastic. He's on a 9-week transformation program. He's done 4 weeks and he's already looking really cut. So fair play to him, you know. And that made me think, after this weekend, we've got 8 weeks left to the end of our first step of our journey. So we came into this on August 31st. September 1st was the first day that we said. So we had our last show for Kapow at the pub in, what was it, Worthing?
Durrington somewhere,
Durrington, that was right. And you and I rocked up. We were both smoking. We were both drinking energy drinks. We were both about 2 stone heavier than we had been in March because of that lockdown. And both you and me were like, right, that's it. Today we're giving up smoking. We're giving up energy drinks. And I have not had a cigarette, and I have not had an energy drink of any description. Not a healthy one, not a sugar-free one, not a plant-based one. I have completely kicked the habit. I'm not smoking. I'm not doing energy drinks. But after this weekend, we've got 8 weeks left till we reach that 1-year mark. And I was just thinking, we've worked really hard, but how do we kind of kick it up another gear in the next 8 weeks? How do we do like an 8-week? I want to do like an 8-week challenge. Like, come on, let's fucking have a go. Let's see what we can achieve in the last run. Like, it's the finish line. Although it's not. Although I told you this at the time, it's not really the finish line. Like, this is just a beginning. When you said, "Can I do it in a year?" I was like, "You can get started in a year. You can get the beginnings going in a year. But when you get after that, once you get to that 1st year mark, you'll be like, oh, okay. Now I can see the next. Now I can see the next thing I want to do. I want to drop a little bit off the love handles, and I want my shoulders a bit bigger, and I want to drop a bit more off the jowls, and I want my ass not to jiggle when I bump. You know. So anyway, 8 weeks. So that's my challenge to you, Carl. Like, shall we have a sprint finish? Like, it means being super clean, dropping those cans of Coke that I've seen you drinking. Like, right, dropping. It doesn't matter.
No sugar.
Doesn't matter. Like, we could get rid of it. Go to water. Go clean clean living, clean food, clean liquid. 8 weeks, Carl. 8 weeks.
Oh my God. Get yourself a new tag partner. He sounds awful.
Riding me, man. He's riding me. Look, I'm going to be brutally honest with you, like Mad Dog. I am game, but you couldn't have picked a worse time because we are about to wrap up for the summer, and as you know, I get 6 weeks off in the summer, and I thrive on routine. And I've just got to be. I know what you're shaking your head at because I know it's just a case of I've just got to be more self-disciplined, and I can do it. I absolutely can do it. But you know, I'm not a nun. I'm not going to kick vanilla zero sugar Coke. Like I'm going to have one if I want one, because it's one of my only vices. I'm sorry, man. I don't see the harm in it.
You should change your vice to 10 more push-ups, 30 more squats, and get in the gym for 10 more minutes.
Well, I mean, certainly having the free time to get in the gym, that is going to happen. And I am 100% going to keep going during the summer and maybe up the amount of hours that I do. You know, even if I only go in still 4 times a week, I might do an hour and a half or an extra hour rather than just the hours that I've been able to squeeze in here and there. So I'm game, and I'm not saying no, but I'm being realistic about it, and I'm not setting myself up for failure.
Definitely not saying yes is what's happening there.
It's not saying yes, is he? He's not saying yes. Oh wow, you know.
See, this is what
I'll stay on it. I'll stay on it. I don't go away. I'm like herpes, man. I'm here. I'm like herpes. I'm on you, man. So I'm gonna be like pushing you. You know.
See, this is why you be proud of me, Sam. So you both know me for a long time, and you both know me to never do exercise in front of either of you. Good reason for that, because it's very rare that I do. But no, I mean, so obviously I've done bits and pieces here over the years, and I've got a pretty mean Pilates game on me when I can be bothered. But the thing I did when I came up here was I talked a big game when I started my new job in my new office, and I was like, yeah, when I come up here, I'm going to be dieting, be working out. Now I'm used to working alongside people who are fundamentally lazy, despite what they say. So the fact that I do an occasional wrestling booking is like mind blowing, and it's like more exercise most people know. But unfortunately here I work with people who go to the gym every week and run every week. And one of my co-workers is a great guy who's like, cool, go on and run with me then. I was like, well, I need to get back into it. He goes, cool, we'll start with a 3K run then. And I was like, right, now we're doing this. And like it was awful for a few weeks. I had to fight my body through all sorts of aches and pains, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, am I really that old?" But like now, I'm about 2 months into it, and I look in the mirror and I go, "Oh, okay. I appear to still be looking at my reflection. That's a step." But like, no, I mean, honestly, I feel amazing at the moment, and I'm so pleased with myself. But at the same time, though, I thought this was going to be a few week journey, and I'm like, oh no, this is going to be my life if I want to keep this up, which is exciting, but also just I can't be bothered.
Well, this is it. This is what Sam said. I set myself that kind of I want to get into some sort of shape in a year. And my main motivating factor was I wanted to dress up like a superhero and not embarrass myself for my son's birthday, which is in October. Right. Now, I may have to settle for the Red Guardian or Fat Thor, but even that is I'm closer to it than I was when I started. And I know what Sam's saying. Like I will cross the year finish line, but really I've finished one race, which is the kind of the preliminary race, if you like. The next step is to keep going and to up the ante, like you said. And I'm aware of that, and I'm up for the challenge, and I'm excited about it too. And you nailed it on the head. It's not just a 5-minute fad. It's if you're going to do it, it's your life, and it certainly will be all the time that I intend to be active in the wrestling game. So I'm immensely proud of you, and immensely proud of what Sam and I have managed to achieve in the short time that we set ourselves. And again, Justin and anyone else that's out there who's just kind of set themselves some goals and kept themselves mentally and physically active during a really difficult time. But the finish,
like us three, none of us are spring chickens, right? So if you want a long career, you want to keep doing this for a while, you can't just rely on elastic bones and bouncing back and a spliff and a can of Carlsberg to keep you going. You know what I mean? Like at some point, just time and age and bumps catch up to you, and you've got to do something to keep it all together, right? Otherwise, you fall apart.
Who would have thought it? Do you know what I'm proud of, right? Like, I am immensely proud of how well Carl has tidied his man cave. Like, that place, you make that look so neat and tidy, mate. Well done.
Right, probably a bit in the middle of lockdown, I brought a couple of extra glass cases and did a bit of organising in here. What you can't see underneath the camera is the mess that is currently in here. But you know, it's steps towards success, isn't it? Speaking about being mentally active as well as physically active, you very early on into lockdown 1 contacted me about. In fact, it may have even been before lockdown 1. You started with the nugget of the idea and you'd spoken to me about it, but it really ramped up when lockdown 1 happened, and you were putting the feelers out to guys like, I want to do this YouTube channel, The Theory of Wrestling. Could you do some content for it? Could you film some stuff for me? So I guess we'll start at the beginning of that, because you know, it's up and running now. For those of you that aren't aware, Ollie has set up this fabulous YouTube channel that is, you know, this is my definition of it. You may think differently, but I think it is wrestlers sharing stories with other wrestlers and trainees that may help them on their journey. It's the meat and potatoes. It's the theory behind the physical stuff that happens in wrestling. Like, it's the stuff that you don't always get from a training center, because you pay your weight, you pay your fee, you go in, you want to be bumping around, you want to be hitting the ropes, you want to be flying off the top. You don't want to be listening about ring psychology and etiquette and marketing and all that sort of stuff. So this is like it subsidizes your training, I think, is the way that I see it working anyway. But what was the chrysalis for that? What was the sort of the spark that became the theory of wrestling?
Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it on the head right there. It's basically all the non-physical bits of wrestling training, I guess. And the whole logic behind it is that I don't know. I mean, so Sam was always very decent at what he did early days, whereas Carl and I are very guilty for this, and I'm sure you won't disagree with me when I say that it didn't matter who told you what when you were starting out, you could not listen to nobody, because too busy. Like, I thought I was Austin Aries, you thought you were Kevin Steen, and we did not care what people had to say about it. And people would tell you a lesson and you'd be like, okay, I understand it. But then you'd go, well, but then they're this style of wrestler, so that's why they think that way. And you would kind of compartmentalize it. And this is what a lot of trainees do over the years. And I think what's lost is actually people learn the same lessons. The reason why people tell you about etiquette, about marketing, about getting the right gear, having the right merchandise, conducting yourself properly, having the good promos, putting the moves in the right order, you know, learning how to turn up and help. Simple concepts, but literally so many people are so guilty at some point or another of picking and choosing, and which is fine because it's all part of the learning journey. But we're here to help. So basically, it's just getting different people on every week talking about stuff. But we've had Carl on. You were talking about the theory of wrestling narrative, wasn't it?
Yeah, so that's something that's very near and dear to my heart, and I have spoken about a little bit on this pod as well. Because obviously my background is in kind of like English and media and things like that, and I teach it to various levels. And you know, I was really always fascinated by the idea of the monomyth, and which is essentially a formula for how all stories are put together. And one of the things that I remember is that, you know, wrestling should tell a good story from when I was coming in. And so I was like, well, how do you tell a good story? And actually, if you understand the building blocks of any story, wrestling, film, book, or otherwise, then you can apply it. And that was kind of, I did like a bit of a whistle stop tour to some slides for you. Yeah, well, I was kind of pleased with, but I could. It's one of those that I did a think about a 20-minute video. I could go on for hours, quite happily about, and really unpick it. But yeah, I was honoured to come on. It was a real pleasure, and some of the other videos that I've seen. Even like at the late stage that I am, I guess, in my kind of wrestling journey, there's still plenty to learn. There's the one from Lion Kid about, adapting to working in a mask was really interesting, and there was other ones as well that I dipped and picked into that. And I do think it is great, and I've always enjoyed, and I've been lucky. My actual training journey, I didn't stick to one school. A lot of guys, they kind of join a school and they're in and they're indoctrined by their trainer. They're kind of, everything that they learn is from one person. I was lucky. I had like Chris Kay. I had seminars with various visiting stars from over the pond. I had the FWA Academy to a certain degree. I had Revolution British Wrestling as it was at the time. And I've had seminars with Danny Collins. And every time I've gone to one of those places, I've managed to cherry pick things that I like, either physically or from the theory side of things. I've kind of gone, oh, I like that, and I'll adapt that to what I do. And I like that, and I'll take that lesson with me. And I do think that this is where the theory of wrestling fills a need, because the trend tends to be now that wrestlers, up and coming wrestlers, they find a school and they stick with them until they're ready, which is fine. And I'm not sorry. I should put in the caveat that I think that's a perfectly reasonable route. And I do think that's right.
That's how most people do it, right? And it works for many people.
But no matter how strong-minded you are as an individual, if you are taught by just one person, some of that person's ideologies are going to imprint on you, whether you like it or not.
Sure.
Because you're being molded by someone in their image. Whereas, at least if they have an avenue to hear from the likes of Phil Bedwell and, all the lovely guys that you've had on, and girls, I should say as well, because Astrid's one about fitness was really interesting.
Oh, what a great video that was.
At least they've got that opportunity to hear other voices. And again, do what I did, cherry pick, take what works for you and mold it into your own game.
That's exactly what it is. And I mean, you asked about how it all came about. And I mean, obviously, we've always had all these car journeys with each other. I mean, I've had, countless journeys with yourself talking about wrestling theory. So I studied ancient histories, classical civilizations, focused on the Iliad, the Odyssey. I love story structure. I love the way stories are put together. It's one of the things that fascinates me about wrestling. And if you are lucky enough to have me one-on-one and talk to you about how Eddie Guerrero plans his matches, that is 5 hours of your life you'll never get back. But I find it fascinating. And then I've even had car journeys with Sam, which weren't dreadful, where he taught me about doing that thing, where you hold on to the bar and then you're like, it's like hard to do, but you got to like get your chin up like nearly to the top. But anyway, he taught me some thing about that. I haven't tried it yet, but I heard it's good. But there's loads of fascinating stuff out there. And I thought there's just so many people out there who have so many great nuggets of knowledge, and no one just has one thing either. So there's going to be so many. And I know I've spoken to Sam about having him on to talk about fitness, and give his stuff channel a plug, because God knows he needs it. But it'd be great to have him on and talk about all nutrition, because we're missing that at the moment. But I just thought, you know what? Lockdown started. I didn't have a lot to do. I had the money to buy a few bits of editing equipment, and I also realized, oh God, yeah, I'm getting old. I'm going to die one day. So I want to leave something in some way, something that can spread, something that can just stay out there in the public space, and then people, hopefully in 100, 200 years to come, I mean, if we haven't had the apocalypse by that point, YouTube probably will still be around. And I love the idea of people learning about wrestling narrative theory from Carl Atlas a century on after he's gone. It's not like it was 20 years ago where these lessons were lost. They can be held now, so we might as well start documenting them, and that's where the theory of wrestling comes in. But yeah,
it's an awesome project.
I like that idea, because so much is learned and taught in the car. It's such a great idea, the idea of capturing those conversations that you have on the road trip on the way to shows, because that's the thing. Typically we have those conversations, especially if you've got a trainee in the car and they're asking questions, or they fucked up and you're giving them a bit of hey kid, you really shouldn't do it like that. You should do it like this, or your gear looks pony. Get hold of this person. Have a think.
Oh my God, I feel for your trainees. Are those the conversations you have with them? I'm like, dude, you did so well today. Love that moonsault, nice one. Do you know what? I really like the idea.
Don't talk shit, Ollie. You're so full of shit.
I am so full of shit.
I'm so full of shit. You are so full of shit.
You gotta be honest, right? Teach them.
Why would you not be honest with them though? Because everyone has to, when you're marketing a show, everyone has to be on their A game, right? You want anything that detracts from the show. You could go out there, right? You can spend 500 quid on gear. Me and Carla spent loads of money on gear in the last 2 years, right? I can go out, if you go to a show and you've got great gear, you've got great music, you've invested on a bit of music or something, you've got great gear, you put some effort into the way you look, you go to the gym, you get a tan. But the guys who open the show are wearing long baggy shorts and a pair of kick pads and look like they need some, 3 square meals, let alone the gym. It detracts from the show. People sitting around watching it are going to go, what is this shit? So, you have a responsibility to turn around to someone and say, look, mate, if you want to be a wrestler, fill out your shoulders, get in the gym, do some working out, eat some protein, and for the love of God, buy some wrestling boots and get some trunks. And I'm not saying that road trips in the car with the Mad Dog and Atlas are savage. We don't savage people. It's just advice, right? It's like you said. It's just.
You liar! You absolutely
That's not
savage.
True. We don't savage people. I savage you.
Yeah.
You're a prick.
Well, yeah, but we savage each other because we're friends.
And well, that's it. Exactly. That's allowed.
Yeah.
Well,
and
I think
it's like that. It's like that thing where
sometimes they just don't. Sometimes these kids just don't know.
Always
Right?
ask for one. Oh my days.
No, not at all. But the point that you were making about, I like the point that you were
knock him
making
off his
about,
soapbox.
like turning up early and helping out. Right?
Yeah.
If you're not told, if you're like Carl said, if your instructor doesn't, if your coach doesn't think that's important, if they're a bit of an arsehole and they're a bit arrogant and they're a bit strutty, then that's what they're going to teach their trainees. They're going to strut up to shows, and that will be detrimental to your career. If you strut around at shows not helping out, you won't get booked again, and then that person will go to, and it spreads. All the promoters talk to each other. Don't
You're right.
That guy.
You're absolutely right. It comes around. People like that's how you get and lose work in this business, is that word of mouth. Because you can have the best video in the world. Like, I mean, we saw it with Will Ospreay. When he first hit the scene, he was doing the most unbelievable moves, and people were like, "Oh my god, this guy is the most athletic guy there is." But the way he presented it in the first few weeks, not with everyone, most people loved it, but there were some people who went, "We don't like the way you presented it," and they talked a bit, and it made things a little bit difficult for him in the early few months, which was totally unfair. I felt it was just trying his best, and he was brand new to the game, but couple of people are wrestlers, and that's what people are like. But over time, they've 180'd. Of course they have, because he's the best wrestler on the planet. But that's happened over time where he's learned the lessons. But he's a great example of somebody who, I mean, don't get me wrong, he recovered within weeks and was on it. As we all know, he's had an incredible rise to fame. But if somebody had been there to tell him initially, it could have saved him those initial couple of bookings that could have catapulted it even quicker. But yeah, there's loads of examples. There's a video on our channel, Eric Ligon, who a lot of people don't know, but they should do, because he trained at the WCW Power Plant. He's wrestled on Ring of Honor, CZW. He brought wrestling to some countries in other countries didn't have wrestling before. He's brought big shows there. He's he's got loads of involvement, lots of behind the scenes stuff, and he goes on and talks about how paying it forward is important, which is essentially the idea of paying your dues, is helping out with the ring, is turning up and saying, how can I help, Mr. Promoter? How can I help, Mrs. Promoter? What can we do to be useful even though I'm not on the show? And it's a simple concept, but he literally just says the way they say it is, you can, if they want a wrestler, they can get a stone, they can throw it in any direction, and they can hit 20 guys who can all do a moonsault, who can all get a, this is awesome. It's literally so easy to find guys to fill those spots because they're the top. And there's people clamoring. The audience, most of them are workers. They're all desperate to get on. It is what it is. But if you're the person who turns up 4 hours early and says, "Hey, can I hold a camera for you?" Or "Can I go and get the guys some food? Can I what can I do? Can I help with the ring?" It sucks. But if it gets you through that door and gets you onto the show, and then you're the dude who just turned up, and also, like you say, the one with the shoulders compared to everybody else, you get noticed. And also, I'll just say now on that subject, arthritis is a real thing. And if you don't have muscle, I'm paying for it now every single day, and I'm 32. If you don't have the muscle mass, it does not protect your body. So it's not about being serious about being a wrestler or being Hulk Hogan. It's about just being able to be safe with what you do. This is why I'm hitting the gym, and it is helping massively. So this is why you need these lessons, because I've never really been around big strong guys who give me good strong advice. I've always been around other people who are we'll do a flip, which is fun, but it hurts. So yeah, it's important.
But again, this is, I think, where the theory of wrestling fills a gap, because it's a nice way to learn those lessons as opposed to getting chewed out. Because I think we are of the last kind of dregs of the generation that had to learn things the wrong way or the hard way. We were brought up like, someone gives you a fucking kick in if you do the spot that was supposed to be for the main event, or whatever the transgression is. You end up getting chewed out backstage, or you get a kick in the Rumble. And you get told, that was a receipt for this, or that was a receipt for that. The theory of wrestling allows you to kind of learn those lessons to avoid those situations, and hopefully to do away with them completely. Because I'm a strong believer, and I've said on someone else's podcast, that old school mentality, I understand having respect for the business. I think there are better ways to teach it and ingrain it. And I think we need to get rid of that old school and let it die out with the old schoolers, leaving boot imprints and stuff on guys' backs and chopping them until they bleed from the chest needs to go. It needs to be done. And theory of wrestling may well be one of the ways, the positive ways that we can see the end of that. So to sort of segue into another bit then, what has been the most well-received video you've posted so far? I'd be quite interested to see, like, your audience, what are they actually looking for, and what have they responded best to so far?
Yeah, so there's a big variety, and the thing I quite like about it is that it's attracting attention from wrestlers and also fans. So I think it's something a bit more like, if you're a bit more an advanced fan, like if you've been watching it for a while and you're kind of looking to get a new perspective on it. So if you're already watching sort of other YouTube channels about wrestling, then it might be a good one to investigate, because it kind of breaks it down in different ways. It gives you different perspectives. So different videos are getting great results with just different audiences. So your video got loads of responses from a lot of younger trainees, people who were like quite new to the game. So people who were probably about to debut beginning of lockdown, but obviously have had that break off. So I've had a good bunch of them contacting me about how much they enjoyed learning about that. So I'm hoping we can do a series of those, because there's definitely an audience that want to learn more about what goes into the order and the timing of matches. And there was a great slide in your video where you broke down 9 different archetypes of stories, and then alongside it you had an equivalent wrestling match. And I remember looking at that with a watering mouth, thinking I want to get a video for each one of those and like learn how the Robin Hood story can be played out in multiple ways. That'd be awesome. But then on the other side, Astrid, her video on working out, oh my goodness, we had 200 views within 2 days. It was absolutely really well received, but hers totally different perspective. She's talking about joining, so when you start wrestling, and if you haven't done a fitness program before, how you should approach your fitness. And she comes up with a revolutionary idea, which I absolutely love. If you've literally never done fitness before, don't be like, right, I need to start doing 10K runs because that's what you do. Like, don't go down to the gym and start bench pressing because that's what I should be doing. What you want to do is find something you enjoy first and foremost, because it's all well and good wanting to do bench press and do squats and build yourself up looking like The Rock, but you're not going to get there unless you have a basic level of fitness first. So if you hate the gym and you force yourself to the gym, like I have done many a time in the past, you hit a wall and you break off. But like she says, and I'll quote her directly, if you like getting in spandex and going out dancing, put on your spandex, go out dancing, and then when you're fit, then worry about putting on the pounds, putting on the muscle. But initially, get fit and find a fun way to do it. So that's brilliant. And loads of people who have no interest in wrestling whatsoever are like, oh, this is great. I'm like, cool, this is awesome. But yeah, I mean, I did one came out just this week that was about comparing yourself to other performers, and it's really hard to keep your head above water when you're surrounded by trainees getting spots on shows and you're like really close, but you just get a match against the person who botches all the spots, and you're really frustrated because you wanted the title match but you couldn't because Doug Williams was in town and he got the booking instead, and you love Doug but damn it, he took your spot. Thanks Doug, by the way. Anyway, I don't know what moment that was, but that's definitely a little triggered me. Oh dear, triggered myself. Anyway, but yeah, like comparing yourself is quite difficult. So I've broken down a lesson that I learned from Bret Hart about taking different what do you call it? You take different qualities. So you take the look, and you go for you and the other trainees, and you rank yourselves based on look. Then you do the same for wrestling ability, and then you do the same for character. And then what you do is you score them based on, it's kind of marking down, and then you tally up the scores. So overall, gives you an idea of where everyone falls. You can kind of see yourself on the grand scale of things. It takes it away from being pressured on, how good am I? You can look at the person above you and say, what do they do that's better than me? I'm going to learn one lesson from them until I can score myself better than them. Then I move on to the next person. It becomes a competitive bit of friendliness where you can learn from each other instead of just going, am I better or worse? It's what can I learn? Lots of stuff like that's getting great responses from different audiences. And I'm hoping over the next few months we'll build up a nice series of playlists with lots of different things for different people.
Yeah, man. Well, that I suppose that actually is a good segue again. What's next? What sort of? I don't know if you can do spoilers or if you can just give us hints about what have you got in the bank that's, or how much have you got in the bank that's ready to be dropped? Because I know you're releasing it kind of periodically. Have you got like a bank of bits of videos of guys that have sent you stuff, or are you kind of feeding hand to mouth at the moment, kind of waiting for the next video to come in before you can put it up?
It's really exciting, actually. So to begin with, I had a big group. So as you said, I started this at the beginning of lockdown, but it took me over a year to launch it because I wanted to have a big bank of footage together. And, life lockdown happened. So there was lots of things that held it up. So I'm glad that I did, because it would have been one and done by now already. Whereas at the moment, we've still got several months worth of footage ready to go in the back office. So plenty of stuff. Lots of videos of me back when I had no eyebrows and I was trying lots of different Priscilla makeup looks. And I didn't realize why everyone thought I looked so weird. But now I'm looking back, I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I have no eyebrows. It's uncomfortable. But at the same time, there has been lots of people who've contributed stuff over time. And this, now that it's launched, lots more is coming in. So without trying to give too much away, we have in the coming weeks, Rishi Ghosh will be making an appearance. Chris K is going to be on the channel. We've got RJ Singh, who's going to be debuting on the Theory of Wrestling. The Lion Kid, who appears on the channel unmasked in every video, by the way. So it's a very unique scoop. But Lion Kid is going to be on there many a time. He's got a great video about family-friendly insults coming up. One about promos. He's got some great insights because, of course, he's trained in Japan. He's performed with some of the top performers around the world. Like, the guy's got great advice. Phil Bedwell. I tried blocking him, but he keeps sending me all these videos. So at some point they're going up. But it's fun. So, and again, if anybody's watching this, and you don't have to be in the wrestling business, if you've got some kind of profession or experience that you think might help the community, drop me a message. We love to talk about costuming, love to talk about character work and, merchandise, marketing. So anybody who's got a skill, you want to come on, drop me a message. If you're a wrestler, and you're not dreadful, then, let me know. We'll have you on. It'd be really cool.
Wrestling's like less niche than we think it is, right? It takes a village. It takes a village, right? There's so many important skills, like you said, seamstress, marketing, and the thing is, you can't be an expert at everything. Most of us don't make our own gear. Most of us don't make our own logos. But knowing where. But what I think is great with the resource that you're putting out is knowing where to go, knowing how to approach that. Like, how do you get your first gear designed? That's not just you just scratching some random flames on the side of some random lycra and then sending it to someone. Which is, to be fair,
we're
that's
literally
it, exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, which is amazing. Exactly. That's amazing because kids don't know, right? As a kid, but people getting into it don't know. They just don't know. I've been told get gear. I went on Amazon. I put in wrestling lycra, and there's some German dude with his wang out. Like,
no, that's true. Right,
true.
so
it's
I
true.
get
You go search online.
I
You
only
don't
get
mind.
that, yeah, because I'm an absolute pervert though. So that's my own street.
You mentioned You mentioned RJ there, Ross Jordan, and funny enough, talking about gear, I think he was possibly like I must have been in my teens, and I think he was one of the only guys that actually gave me advice about where to get gear. And it was funny because back in the day, like, high spots was a thing.
Yeah,
but that was it. And then he put me in touch with, I think it was Mike or Mick Romeo, who was a worker who was also able to sew some stuff. And my first proper set of gear came from him. But I think you were trying to tell Sam there that you've got RJ talking about where to buy gear. Is that right?
Yeah, so his video is about it's specifically not about designing it, but where to get gear made and how to go about actually ordering it. So specifically about what makes a person reputable, what you need to expect, what is going to be a drawback, and he's very upfront about it, and he's very bleak right from the outset. But it's exactly spot on. It's what
You're going to get ripped off.
Literally,
your shit is going to fall apart. The stitching's going, and it's true. We all buy gear that we go, right, I'm not using them again, right?
Yeah,
you do. We all do it. We all buy something thinking it's going to be amazing. You do one show and the back falls out.
Actually, I was about to drop a name, but one of my fellow trainees is a mum offered to make gear once upon a time, and I was like, oh, that's really sweet. And oh my days, I could not fit my poor little crotch, which is little as well. There's not a lot of, I don't need a lot of space. There's a reason I'm good at drag, but nevertheless, I was like, oh, and then it like split. So I went up for a crossbody, and as I went up, like I kind of like my waist expanded as I was kind of like snap, 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 and it just kind of like opened. And you know when you get those boxer shorts when the waistband snaps and they just kind of hang loosely, kind of just below the belly line, and they're pivoting. I was like, this is my gear right now.
Oh man,
that's funny.
So,
because
is there anything else that you could tell us about the theory of wrestling that you think, you know, this is your platform now to kind of plug it and also talk about it and just kind of give people information about it? Because we want to grow your audience, like, you know, we want to grow our audience, because I think that what you're doing is a genuinely good cause, and it is a great resource. You know, I've said that already, and I will say it again. I can't say it enough. I do think that if you're, like you said, if you're in the wrestling business, it's essential. If you're not in the wrestling business, it's still interesting. So come on, you've got platform now. Just kind of tell us, sell it a little bit. Tell us why we should and where we should go to subscribe and all the rest of it.
Yeah. Well, so we got a Facebook page. Probably best place is just to go to YouTube. Go to YouTube. Look for the Theory of Wrestling. We are there right at the top. You got a black logo, nice white outline, but you can't miss it. And give it a subscribe, because if you subscribe, then every week you get an email with a link to the videos. There's a new video every week, Thursday 5 p.m. So finishes right at the end of the working day. But if you subscribe to the channel, it's a massive help for us. And then at the same time, you always get an email, so you never miss these videos that come out. And at that point, you know, you can just swipe it aside. But if you suddenly get a video of Rishi Ghosh in your inbox, quoting from his book, so you can actually get a bit of a free insight as to what's involved in this book before you purchase it, which is fantastic, by the way. And I cannot wait to launch that little exclusive. You know, then you're going to have that opportunity, because it will just be there on a link. And yeah, we've got a whole mix. Like you mentioned before a moment ago, Sam, about people being vague. And one of my pet hates in wrestling is people being vague about their lessons. And it happens all over. And the reason why is because, like you say, you get taught in a blinkered environment. And unfortunately, a lot of people, even when they're kind of running classes, and this is, I feel like it's going to get me heat, because so many people are going to think I'm pointing the finger at them, but this is just a general comment, and this is not aimed at anybody in particular. I am also very guilty of this. People kind of teach the lessons they were taught because those are the lessons they learned. So it becomes more and more kind of blinkered and blinkered and blinkered. So you end up with people who know that they should know about stuff, and they know that their position means they should know about stuff, but they don't actually know what to say. So it is quite alarming how frequently people say, just do good etiquette. And no one's like, that means shake everybody's hand. That means introduce yourself by name. That means offer to help. That means never stand around and be a douche. Like, that's what the stars are doing. You prove to them you're worth that because they've already done it. No one ever tells you that all the people who act all too cool, who actually get booked, have already done that. Like, so it's little things like that which you need to learn, and the quicker you learn them, the better you'll get on. But my pet hate for the last few years has been people saying, get on top of your social media. That comment is so vague. It doesn't tell you anything, and it's so vital in this day and age. Like, there's so much on the channel already that is great. If you want to learn how to conduct an entrance, come up with a character, build a match, all of that stuff's on there. how to get gear, how to work out. That stuff's on there. There's more coming. But for myself, as a marketeer professionally for the last near 10 years, it frustrates the hell out of me that I've been to 5 separate schools in the last decade who've all said, get on top of your social media. And they're like, just post some short videos. And they all say, I'll do a video no longer than between 30 seconds to 2 minutes, nothing more than that. And then those are the lessons. And they sound great the first time you hear them, but they are little snippets. And I'm like, right, so social media, what times of the day are you posting? In what ways are you interacting with people? What's the brand you're putting out every day? Is your channel for you, for your wrestling persona? Is your audience for you? Do they know that you're their wrestling audience? Like, are they even aware that you're marketing to them? Are you going to market in short snippets? Are you going to pitch it in one big email to somebody? Are you going to start being people's friends, slowly warm them up? Like, there's so many ways to do it. Are you going to do email marketing? Are we talking about a video marketing? Are we going to create a YouTube channel? Did you want to start creating a portfolio? Have you thought about sending direct mail to people? Have you considered bringing gifts to people at shows? These are things you can do to get you work, and they do work. But if you just go in there blindly because someone went, get on top of your social media, you will fuck it up. It's just that simple. But all of this stuff is coming to the channel, and it's all there for free. You don't have to do any of it. You can pick and choose, but you can put it on. And every Thursday night for between, sometimes it's 1 minute, sometimes it's 20, but you can put it on the sides. You can have one ear listening to it while you do some press ups, because you should be doing some press ups once a week at least. Yeah, exactly. See, Sam does at least 3. So, like, while you're doing that, just have a little listen. Yeah, but well, when you got that much mass on you, I mean, it's a hell of a workout. For me, it doesn't. It's quite easy.
Make sure you activate your pectoral muscles. That's like that's all you got to do.
Those are the ones that make me drool, right?
I love the fact that Ollie just gave a lovely tirade about being vague, and then Sam went, activate your pectorals.
It was a joke.
Yeah, right.
Well done, guys. That was good. But yeah, there's loads of that stuff on there. And like it's fascinating as well. Like the narrative story that Cal puts out, like, you know, it's a totally new way of looking at it. And like so far we've got 2 videos on building matches, and I love them both because they both take the complete opposite end. So there's Phil Bedwell, who's like, here's how you build a basic match, and it's a very basic structure that you build on, but he's like beginning, middle, end, and he gives you instructions to follow, which is what I was kind of taught, was a lot of other people taught. And the thing I really like about it is that he's very these are the acts of the match. So he's not saying, oh, this is the point where you get 1 comeback and a house of fire and a slam, but he's like, this is the finishing point. So what emotion do you want to create with this? What story are you telling with this part of the thing? And he makes you think about how they all link up. Whereas you're like, right then, have you ever read a book before? Because this is how all books are written. And it's like, whoa. And there is way too much to cover in the video. And like, as you go through, it's a bit like this. It's quite frantic because you're like, there's so much to cover. I can't give it justice in that period of time. But this is why I think as it grows, it's going to become something really special, because people can drill down more and more. And like, RJ sent me the video, and about 20 minutes after he sent me the video, she's like, so I've had an idea for a follow-up. Well, of course you have, because it just gets the discussion going, and it gets the flow going. And I think this is what it is, because after you watch that narrative match, the narrative video you made, I then went back to watch the night where Daniel Bryan goes from rags to riches and ends up winning the championship at WrestleMania. And like, it's still the same matches, but all of a sudden it's suddenly telling a very different story. And I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm looking at, like, it's like Oliver, like the musical, although obviously nowhere near as fabulous, and got a lot more kicking people in the face. So it's clearly better. But you know, still the same narrative of rags to riches. It's like, poor boy comes in, he's trying really hard, and the man's getting him down, and you know, at the end of the day, they all pick a pocket or 2, and he walks away with the championship. It's great. But it just turns on his side, and I love it.
Yeah. Sam, Ollie, we're kind of winding down now. We like to try and keep this to around about an hour under, if we can. So, Mad Dog, you got any final questions for our very welcome guest?
What's going on with Priscilla? Where's Priscilla? Where's the hair? What's going on? When are we going to see you on Drag Race? What's going on?
Oh, good God! I sincerely hope they never cast me for Drag Race. That would be like I wouldn't last 10 minutes on that thing.
Oh,
I
but
could,
what a car! But for a drag race, it'd be such a car crash. I'd watch it.
it would have been absolutely like you thought Joe Black was bad. Like Jesus Christ, Priscilla walks in. Right, here's your makeup. What's that? Yeah. So like, I genuinely thought like Priscilla was pretty much done during lockdown. I was like, without going into it, there was so much horrible stuff coming out, and I was like, I'm done with this lot. Like, this is just like my heart's left now. But then I got contacted by somebody that I have been. Well, if you're a subscriber to the Priscilla YouTube channel, then you'll be aware that I have a long-term blackball position with PCW where they won't even consider booking me. And it's been taking me nearly 10 years, but I finally got myself booked with PCW. So it's kind of opened up a lot of excitement. And that's when I went, right,
As
I really.
Priscilla, not as Ollie.
Oh, sure as hell as Priscilla Downing. I'll be lip syncing my way out to PCW, and I'm so excited. I've got
Awesome.
Tal Banham on the 23rd of this month, going up to Preston. It's going to be like Tal's a guy I used to train with up in Leeds years ago. So this is like a lot of full circles for Priscilla, but it did make me go, oh, okay, I need to address the fact that I am hitting my 30s and I'm hitting the 30s feeling like an old man, like this is a problem. So that's why I've hit the gym. That's why I'm feeling a lot better than I was. That's why the hair's gone back because I got myself a pretty okay job these days. And I'm just kind of getting the Priscilla back together again. I think at the start of lockdown, I was really enjoying wrestling, but I wasn't like taking things seriously. When that real life freight train hit, I was like, okay, I really got to get my perspectives in order and work out what I'm really prioritizing. So yeah, basically I'm taking it slow. So a couple of bookings here and there, all up north where I'm based at the moment. But once I'm back fighting fit, I'm coming straight back down to Kapow, and I'm going to give you two boys a run for your money.
I've always had a love of working with you, Priscilla. Like, you could be a giant pain in my ass. But I love you
Just
for
one more,
it.
just one more thing. Let's just add something. Oh, the bells! You're about to go by the curtain. I've had an idea. Let's change the finish. I've got an idea. Let's do it. Let's do it three different ways. What about if we do it like this?
Basically,
What if we
boys,
change?
the
What if
gimmick
I
of the
put
week
this thing
this
in?
week
What if I
is I'm
do
going to bring
this?
a handbag out with me. This week it's going to be an umbrella. This week it's going to be this. And I've got to shoehorn all this shit in. But ultimately, and I rip you for it, but I've never had a bad Priscilla match. I've never had a bad match with Ollie Burns. And I do look forward to those encounters. And we've had some belters in the past. And if you're coming down, I definitely want at least one more, if not several more. So yeah, please do come down as soon as you can.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, the macho man of Kapow, right? I give everybody a headache before the match has started rather than during. But yeah, no, I've actually managed. So just before lockdown, I really chilled out on that, and I remember having one fatal four-way where I just sat there, and the entire time I didn't even suggest anything. I was really well behaved. I was like, look at me, all like chill. But yeah, but like
I
just
seem to remember you being very much like that actually at the Groundlings, where one of the last times we had a bout was was that the one you were referring to?
Yeah.
And a lot of the guys, and I've spoken about this, and actually I suppose this is kind of a little bit of a teaser. I don't want to say too much, but it will link into what I'm hoping to record for you for the Theory of Wrestling next time. People were kind of like, I don't know what to do in this kind of like environment with this particular style of match, again, without saying too much. And I was like, well, boys, this is my wheelhouse and this is where I feel confident. Let me take the reins here. And I was going, right, you're going to do this and you're going to do this. And what do you want to do? And and suddenly the jigsaw pieces came together and you were just like, wow, okay, fine. I'm happy to go along with the ride for this one. And it was better for it. Not everyone managed to get something in and everyone looked good. But it was a good, solid match, I thought. And it was I think,
But this
I
is
think you've got.
precisely why theory wrestling is so key. So this is the actual. So so I know we're pushed for time, but the thing I'm really excited about for the future is match structures, in particular awkward ones. So fatal four ways. So again, without going into detail, that's one of the elements of that match that you're referring to. Fatal four way is a nightmare for people to plan. They get excited and terrified, and it becomes a big smorgasbord of nuisance. In fact, Sam, we had a discussion a couple of years ago about 8-man elimination tag matches where it just felt like a headache. But me and Carl, boys of process, like our clear stories. So Carl has his fatal four-way match. I've got mine, but I was being a professional and I thought I'd let him do his slightly better version. But like with Sam, as soon as you were saying you were nervous about the 8-man, I'm like, here's the exact structure you're going to do. And you said to me the next day, I did it. I mean, how did it go? I can't really remember.
Worked out. That was it. Like, yeah. So we had that match. I said to Ollie, I said, they're always shit. They're always shit, right? Like, even on telly, I hate them. They're always shit. It's so hard to follow a narrative because it's just too much going on. Because everyone wants to be like in a story.
Sam's referring to the tag match, not the fellow people he was performing with. We should just
yeah. Of course. But in a story, right? There's one protagonist usually. Sometimes you get two. And if you're going to do something massive like the Avengers, you have a massive run up at it, yeah. Like you take 13 years and you have a huge run up, right? You don't have that advantage in wrestling, especially so you've got to do an Avengers style whoa moment with 8 people that don't work with each other very often. And I didn't know the caliber of the guys. I knew the caliber of some of them, but not all of them. And I said to Ollie, these are always a clusterfuck. And Ollie went, right, this is how you do it. Sit them down and say, right, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to fit this in. Who's got what? When are we going? Boom, 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 boom. And yeah, it 100%. I sat down with the guys. Luckily, I got lucky that I was probably one of the more experienced guys, and Jake didn't really want to take. A bit like you, Jake. So Jakey was in that match as well, and Jake was like, "Yeah, I'm happy. Just tell me when I'm doing. Tell me when I'm doing my suicide. Tell me when I'm doing my sky high. Just." Like, I'll get, as long as I get my shit in, just tell me when.
In every way, I can see him just putting a cigarette in his mouth going, "You all right, mate? You got this one, bud."
Well, he was doing double dukes as well. So he really, he was on double dukes. So he didn't really, want to be involved at all.
So I can understand why, but yeah. I mean, I know how difficult he is to get on board sometimes when you're his only match that day, but when you've got that many other people in there and he's like, I'm already working, like, yeah.
Some of those classic match structures, though, they are really difficult. I've worked with seasoned veteran guys that have seemingly not known how to put a triple threat on. So it's like, oh, you've sat there as the junior going, so how's this going to work? And they're like, I don't fucking know. I've never done a triple. I don't do stupid triple threats or hurricane tags or whatever the gimmicky match. Whatever they're like, I don't know. And then when they don't know, you're sat there going, fuck, I'm just going to get punched. Because they're going to get lost. They're going to get lost, and I'm just going to get punched in the face. Like, this is my day now.
Right, I think we need to sign off there. We've gone over time slightly, I think. Again, Priscilla, we'd like to leave it always with a chance for our guests to plug themselves on social media. You've kind of done a little bit of the theory of wrestling, but remind everyone where the theory of wrestling is and where you are online and where they can find you.
Well, you can find Priscilla at Priscilla QOTRs. That's QOTRs in Queen of the Ring, not as in Qatar. It's Priscilla, although that also works. But yeah, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Priscilla QOTR. And the Theory of Wrestling is YouTube, youtube.com/2xe7564. Just look for the Theory of Wrestling and it will come up. But we'd love to have you though. So subscriptions, follows, massively appreciated. If you send me a message, I'll probably get back to you, not that day or even that week, as these two will attest, but at some point I'll get back to you with a big apology and I'll be grateful for it. So I look forward to hearing from you.
Okay, and you know where to find us. We're at Beard ATLAS&MADDOG on Facebook. We've got our own individual one, Carl Atlas UK, and Mad Dog Quinn, isn't it, on Facebook for you? And this has been episode 2 of season 4. We are back next week, as always, with season 4, episode 3. I don't know if we've got anything lined up for that one. Don't want to say anything too much,
I
but
haven't got a guess for next week.
No, okay. Well, it's just me and Big Mad Dog, but we'll have something. We'll definitely be talking about Money in the Bank, which is this weekend. We'll be reacting to that, and also the return of live audiences for both us and the WWE. So there is plenty to talk about.
We've got our first show back, so we'll be talking about our first show back in front of a live audience. So.
And as I said, then Money in the Bank is the next night. So, and it's a return of live audiences. So there's lots to talk about. Right. There's only one way to sign off, as always.